करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। ओम निधये सर्वविद्यानां विषजे भवरोगिणां गुरवे सर्वलोकानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम वेरिमे गुरुवे पूर्वं पदवाक्य प्रमाणतः व्याख्याताः सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ओम समस्त ब्रह्म विद्याचार्येभ्यो नमः ऋषिभ्यो मुनिभ्यो गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम श्री अथर्वऋषे मंडूक महर्षे गौडपादाचार्यवर्याय आद्यशंकर सद्गुरवे अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम अथ अथर्ववेदान्तर्गत माण्डुक्योपनिषत् शांति मंत्रः। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्ट्वागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवैतं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इंद्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्वेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम अथ उपनिषन्मन्त्राः। ओम ओम इत्येतदक्षरम् इदगं सर्वं तस्योपव्याख्यानं भूतं भवद्भविष्यतीति सर्वमोङ्कार एव यच्चान्यत्रिकालातीतं तदप्योङ्कार एव सर्वं हि एतद् ब्रह्म अयमात्मा ब्रह्म सोऽयमात्मा चतुष्पात् जागरितस्थानः बहिष्प्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्गः एकोनविंशतिमुखः स्थूलभुग्वैश्वानरः प्रथमपादः स्वप्नस्थानः अन्तःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्गः एकोनविंशतिमुखः प्रविविक्तभुक्तैः द्वितीयपादः यत्र सुप्तो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते न कञ्चन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत्सुषुप्तं सुषुप्तस्थानः एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघन एव आनन्दमयो हि आनन्दभुक् चेतोमुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयपादः एष सर्वेश्वरः एष सर्वज्ञः एष अन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवाप्यो हि भूतानां नान्तप्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं नोभयतप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानगणं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञम् अदृष्टम् अव्यवहार्यम् अग्राह्यम् अलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवम् अद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः। सोऽयमात्मा अदि अक्षरम् ओङ्कारः अधिमात्रं पादामात्राः मात्राश्च पादाः अकार उकारो मकार इति जागरितस्थानः वैश्वानरः अकारः प्रथमा मात्रा आप्तेः आदिमत्वाद्वा आप्नोति वै सर्वान् कामान् आदिश्च भवति य एवं वेद स्वप्नस्थानः तैजसः उकारः द्वितीया मात्रा उत्कर्षात् उभयत्वाद्वा उत्कर्षदेः वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवते नास्य ब्रह्मवित्कुले भवति य एवं वेद सुषुप्तस्थानः प्राज्ञः मकारः तृतीया मात्रा मितेः अभितेः वा मिनोति वा इदं सर्वमपि दिश्च भवते य एवं वेद अमात्रः चतुर्थः व्यवहार्यः प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवः अद्वैतः एवम् ओङ्कारः आत्मा एव संविशति आत्मना आत्मानं य एवं वेद ओम शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ओम अथ अलातशान्त्याख्य चतुर्थ प्रकरणम्। Today's thought before our Upanishad is how much ever we are in the temples doing pujas, we are in the ashramas doing the seva to the Guru, we are in the satsangas listening to Shastra, we are in the world doing our due duties. All is one thing. More important than all of that, or as a result of all of that, or as the consequence of all of that, or the next step of all of that. To evolve in spiritual sadhana, the very important thing each and every sadhaka necessarily must do is to become aware of his own antahkarana. And in that antakarana, having become aware, he is the only one who is supposed to do all these three sadhanas. One, what are the negative qualities which are making me do wrong things, which are making me suffer in life? Those each of gunas, I have to select them and I have to eliminate them. Then only what are the weaknesses that I have, because of which I am not able to proceed in spiritual sadhana, we can inquire about and then remove them. After that only, what are the divine positive qualities that are necessary, which help my worldly life to become smooth, which help my spiritual sadhana. We have to inquire, we can inquire, and we have to find, and we have to fill our heart with them. So, the negative qualities because of which I am suffering in the world, like the weeds, each one of them we have to remove by ourselves. Nobody can remove them for us. God can remove, but that much of surrender devotion, allowing the God to remove them, is not an easy task. God's grace in this way is not a easy time pass thing where you ask and he'll come. It's only possible when the total surrender is done. Finding our own negativities and remove them is easier than surrender in general. Only a very rare person is there who can truly surrender, permanently surrender, allowing the Lord to do these three jobs. Even for the Lord to come also, we have to have a particular status and position. Therefore, the answer to the question, ki, so many pujas I am doing, temples I am going, satsang I am attending, still why I am the same? To this question, the answer is, I have not understood this most important aspect, that I have to take myself into my hands, that I have to become conscious, aware of my own antakarana, that I have to find what are the durgunas, which we are studying nowadays in Viduraniti. The durgunas which are making me trouble, suffer in this world, with my own self, with the world around me, with the people around me. I am not able to be happy, comfortable. Such a misery. That misery, when so much is there in us, how can we can really do any of spiritual sadhana and go ahead? So what are those negativities? Select them. What are the things that I have? Most of the thing is too much expectation from the world, too much insistence on the world. These are the main reasons because of which we suffer in the world. And we have to consciously, deliberately going to the root level of them through contemplation, inquiry, thinking, understanding. We have to uproot them. And any of such spiritual sadhanas are not achieved when we do them one time. They have to be repeatedly done. So too, what are the reasons for my non-progress in spirituality? In them, the main thing is the laziness, the ashraddha, the insincerity, the irregularity. These durgunas have to be removed. Consciously. It is not an imagination, it is not an hallucination. Just like the dirt in the house we wipe with the jadu and all, in the same way we have to remove our own negative qualities. Just like we put rangoli or paint the house, so too we have to fill ourselves with the good qualities, both for making life smoother and also for making spiritual life enjoyable and fruitful. And what are the positive things that are there? The liking, the shraddha, the prema, the both inspiration to reach and then immediately, instantaneously, or in this very life I must reach. That type of zeal and zest. When we inculcate, then the sadhana can be fruitfully done. Among these three, the first one is very essential. We have to select, we have to observe and select and eliminate, delete all the negativities in us, obstructing sadhana as well as making us miserable in this world. Nobody can do it for us. And any of the negative things are in the body, the foreign material, till that is removed, how it troubles us, suffers us. In the same way, as long as these durgunas are there in mind, we can never be happy. We can never be adjusting to the world. We can never be controlled, contented or quiet in the world. Throughout life we suffer. So remove them. When all these are done for sufficient period, then the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, even Shamadamadi Ityadi start becoming fruitful. It is for everyone. So today we have diagnosed where the problem exactly and how to sort it out also. We have to eliminate them. They are not required for me. They are not required for me. I don't want them. I must be free from them. I'll get rid of them. Now onwards, I am not involving in those negative qualities. In this way, fully applying ourselves on ourselves, we have to that way purify from these negativities. Then only good qualities can be invoked. Is it not? And the negativity should be eliminated permanently. Divine good qualities should be brought again, they also permanently. Okay. Now we are into these beautiful shlokas of Mandukya Upanishad, ALAATHA Shanthi Prakaranam, almost towards the end. So yesterday, Gneyata api dharmanam samvrutya eva na paramarthataha iti aha. Even knowability also about the Paramatma Tattva is only from the formality sadhana avidya standpoint. The gneyata, knowability or to be known, ness in the self is actually a paradox because who is the knower is self only, and that is me. How can it be in the category of to be known? But as we are knowing the world and getting bound in the world, to shift our attention from the knowingness about the world, the sentence for sadhana is said as instead of knowing the world and getting caught up, please know the self. That is what it is said. Then, in trying to know the self in beginning, through the study of Shastra under the qualified Guru, we try to know only the self, intellectual. All that are the intermediate steps, unavoidable to everyone. But as we become deeper, deeper in our contemplation, meditation, there to touch to do the final touches. There, to realize the self, what we have to shift our attention is, it is not that I am trying to know the self. The point is, I am the self. The one who is trying to know himself is the self. There is nobody to be known other than him. Therefore, the Gneyata at that moment is dropped. I become that Jnana. There is no thing other than me as a Gneya Vastu. I am the Gneya, I am the Gnata, I am the Jnanam. All three are me only. That's what he says. Adi Buddha Prakrutyaiva Sarve Dharmaha Sunishchitaha Yasya evam bhavate kshantehe saha amrutattvaya kalpate. So, in the final moment of realization, the realization is like, I am always realized. I am always the self. There was never a time where I became not self, that I had to do lot of sadhana, then I became self. I was always that and that. Adi Buddha. Right from beginning, I am awakened only. Or that self, which is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa, which is never ceased to be so, which is never disappeared, or which never ceased to be Sachidananda, is only the reality. Temporarily, the Jiva Bhava has risen. That got dissolved. That Jiva who was struggling in the samsara, in the sadhana, in fact, whom I thought was me, is actually is not me. This Adi Buddha Tattva, that Tattva which is eternally awakened, enlightened to itself in its own nature, is me, not the struggling Jiva. The Jiva is the born, is born out of avidya and ignorance, with which I, the self, has no connection at all. That is the feeling or experience, Adi Buddha. It is never that I was self and I forgot myself and I became Jiva. Then I did lot of sadhana. Then I discovered self. Toward the end, ये सब नहीं होता. Toward the end क्या होता है? I am the self always. I never became Jiva. Never the world was projected or created. Nor I was caught up in this world. Nor I had to do sadhana to get rid of the world. Nor I need to do something to establish in self. Remember, because as those four words we were repeatedly studying, the self is ajam, it is avyakrutam, it is ajaram, it is amaram. There was no time it was not there, therefore ajam. It never got modified to anything avyakrutam, nor it has become old, nor it will die, amrutam. So, what is the meaning of aja, ajara, avyakruta, amruta? It is always the same. Neither it became something, nor from something it had to be reverted back. This is Sunishchita. Adi Buddha, Prakruteva, Sarve Dharma. The Jiva who is born, he is dissolving, not the self. Self is never forgotten, never has gone away from us, nor we have to go and fetch it, nor it has to come to us. That self is me, always. Like that waker is me always. The waker never changed. Only the dreamer appeared on the waker, played a role for some time, and he disappeared. Is it not? He disappeared into the waker. Waker was eternally there. Even while the dream was happening, the entire dream world is again projected on the waker's mind only. In the same way, I am Adi Buddha. Luckily, otherwise, सेल्फ को बनाना पड़ता तो मुश्किल होता है कैसे बनाए, लाना पड़ता तो मुश्किल होता है कहाँ से लाए, है कि नहीं? That's being so all the time alone is the way because of which we are able to realize it too, not otherwise. And the meaning of self is always so, is what? In its own pristine, pure existence as conscious self, it has nothing to prove to itself, it has nothing to gain for itself anything, and it has nothing to prove to the world, nor it has something to give to the world. If at all of these thoughts are happening, they are happening only in an anatma mithya maya jagat, the imaginary jagat. It was an imagination. As yesterday example was given was like a yatha nitya prakasha sarupa savita. So nitya prakasha sarupa savita, nitya bodha sarupa atma. So nacha tesham nischayah kartavyah nitya nishchita swarupa. So what is the meaning here? Surya Bhagwan is nitya prakasha sarupa. This sentence I made with my understanding. So the sentence which I made with my understanding that Surya Bhagwan is Nitya Prakasha Sarupa, this is not the cause for Bhagwan Surya to be Nitya Prakasha Sarupa. Because whether you say it or not with your mouth, with your understanding it or not, he is so. Understand that part. इसलिए कि मैंने समझा और मैंने माना कहा इसलिए नहीं है वो नित्य प्रकाश स्वरूप. Understood? From the Surya standpoint also, he is not Nitya Prakasha Swarupa to prove that he is Nitya Prakasha Swarupa. He is not Nitya Prakasha to prove that he is Nitya Prakasha. Then he is natural. You need not prove. That is the meaning of here, Nitya Nishchita Swarupa iti artha. So Nishchita means that. Then what is said later on? कि यस्य मुमुक्षोः एवं यथोप्रकारेण सर्वदा बोधनिश्चय निरपेक्षता आत्मार्थं परार्थं वा यथा सविता नित्यं प्रकाशान्तर निरपेक्षः स्व अर्थं परार्थं च इति एवं भवति क्षान्ति. यस्यैव भवति क्षान्तिः सोमृतत्वाय कल्पतेनो. So that kshanti means what? The kshanti word is used by Karika. But what he means by that is, just like we said that the Surya doesn't need somebody's recognition, nor he is proving himself. He is by nature so. So all the intellectual works, the vocal works, all emotional works to establish Surya are rejected there. तुम देखो या ना देखो, कहो या ना कहो, मानो या ना मानो, सूर्य है बस नित्य प्रकाश स्वरूप. And he is Nitya Prakasha Swarupa, not to prove he is so. Remember that. He is by nature so. That was the first thing. Second, what is the meaning of Yasya Evam Bhavati Kshanti is कि says कि बोध निश्चय निरपेक्षता आत्मार्थम परार्थम व यथा सविता. Second is what? We say there is some, see, one thing is proving one's existence. Second is doing something. Okay. So Bhagavan Surya is Nitya Prakasha and Ushna Swarupa. Is that Nitya, in his light and heat, the entire world is surviving, sustaining, which when you objectively see is a huge task. 3 worlds is illuminating, and in these 3 worlds, the millions and millions and millions of jivas, he is giving prana. Because without him, we cannot be alive. All the pranis. सूर्य भगवान के बिना कैसे हम जिएंगे? Therefore, Bhagavan Surya is blessing the entire 3 worlds for their life and sustenance. So, this is from our side to say because we are receiving Surya Kanti. But from the Surya Bhagavan standpoint, be attentive. He is not the karta of any of the karma of giving life or sustaining life or even doing any benefit also to anyone. Remember, and by being light and heat, for him also there is no फायदा. फायदा means कोई ऐसी कोई खास वजह नहीं है वो. फायदा means don't take it negative way. बेकार है करके ना. There is no swartha by being nitya and nitya prakasha swarupa. Because by being the Nitya Prakasha Swarupa, it's fulfillment. Nitya Prakasha Swarupa is for something else. ऐसा नहीं है. Being a Nitya Prakasha Swarupa itself, it's fulfillment. Try to catch that point. For himself. So स्वार्थ कोई नहीं और कुछ. Means I am Shuddha Chachidananda Swarupa is not for something else. Being Nitya Bodha Swarupa itself is fulfillment. In the same way, Bhagavan Surya's presence, all of that are happening, but in those happenings, there is no pararthata feeling in Surya that because of me, all the worlds are sustained, or as a responsibility that by sending my heat and light, I must sustain the world. That mustness or the feeling of kindness or feeling of some achievement or elation that I could sustain the three worlds, or the arrogance that it is because of me the worlds are sustaining. These are none of them are there. That sort of understanding is Shanti. Here it is said. So the Nitya Prakasha Swarupa of the Surya is neither for Swartha not for Parartha. In the same way, instead of Prakasha, say Bodha. That becomes Atma. So the Nitya Bodha Swarupata of the self is not for anything other achievement. There's no Swa Artha in that after being Nitya Bodha Swarupa to the self. Because being Nitya Bodha Swarupa is itself fulfillment. Then the self's presence is the one which is activating Maya, which is activating Trigunas, which is making the Ishvara appear, Hiranyagarbha appear, even the Virat Purusha. And then at the Vyavasti level, it is because of that even the Avidya is working, Antakarana is working, intellects, thinking, minds, emotions, the pranas work, senses, perception, body is intact in its Panchamaha Bhuta. None of them will happen without the Paramatma being inside. Like none of the things we can do without the Bhagavan Surya outside. This is from the Upadhi standpoint. Listen carefully. But from the self standpoint, by being that Nitya Bodha Swarupa, he is not, say, by himself has any sankalpa or any prayatna or any feeling of achievement or a feeling of arrogance that it is because of me these are all functioning. It is, there is no pararthata for him for being Bodha Swarupa. By being Bodha Swarupa, ये ऑटोमेटिकली हो रहा है वो. उनमें कोई ऐसे कर्तृता नहीं है, कर्तृत्वता कि इट्स मी हु इज मेंटेनिंग द देहास और मेंटेनिंग द वर्ल्ड और मेंटेनिंग द उपाधिस, मेकिंग देम वर्क. वही वो नहीं कर रहे. लाइक द पेट्रोल नेवर सेज कि आई मूव द व्हीकल. Electricity never says कि I have made the bulb glow. Yesterday we explained exhaustively. In the presence of the electricity, the bulb glows. In the electricity there is no kartrutva. That is called as Swa-artha, Para-artha, Nirapeksha, Nitya Bodha Swarupa. That is the experience. This is even when the upadhis are seen and upadhis are functioning. So, Jivan Mukta is like this. He is aware of upadhis. Upadhis are functioning. But he is not the doer of any of those functioning of upadhi. Though in his pure awareness or presence, all of them are happening. That would be the state of Atmanubhuti. That is the meaning of Adi Buddha. Prakrutyaiva sarve dharmaha sunishchitaha. So, bodha kartavyata nirapekshata sarvada swa atmani. That is what. So, bodha kartavyata nirapekshata means, listen carefully. To know I am bodha swarupa, there was no kartavya required. Some kartavya means something had to be done to discover that I am bodha swarupa. Something had to be done to discover I am bodha swarupa is not required. Then, by nature, I am Adibuddhaha Bodha Swarupa. This Bodha Swarupata of mine is so natural that it is not to prove to myself, not to achieve something for myself, something else. Not this Bodha Swarupata of me is for the purpose of anything like enlivening or illuminating the upadhis. So, Nirapekshata means non-essential, not required. Bodha Kartavyata Nirapeksha means it doesn't expect or have the apeksha of the Kartavyata, that Bodha. मतलब बोध पाना पड़ेगा और कुछ पाने के लिए पाना पड़ेगा और बोध होने का वो कुछ करके किसी को हेल्प करना पड़ेगा. All that is samsara. All that is in the antakarana. All that is in the maya. In the pure self, being the self is ultimate, which is eternally there. And that I am. The experience will also be like that only. So I am Nitya Bodha Swarupa, not because of any sadhana. I am Nitya Bodha Swarupa, not to get something else as against Sadhya. I am Nitya Bodha Swarupa, not to help anything or body who is other than me in the form of the Upadhis. That purest experience is called as Atmanubhuti. Adibuddhya prakutyeva sarve dharma sunishitaha. Then bodha kartavyata nirapekshata sarvada swa atmani. Then only one question, one answer. Then why we are told to do sadhana and all? These whatever not allowing us to experience ourselves like this. To remove that, all this drama is done. To remove one thorn, other thorn is used, that's it. In the same way, that whatever the dirt was there, which was not allowing to experience the self like this, to remove that, all that is done. Whether it is Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Nirantara Chintanam, that Aham Brahmasmi, all that is our doings are only to undo the wrongdoings. None of these doings made the self appear, made the self created. Self is always there in the Rupa of Bodha. Okay? Then that Bodha Rupa of the self is not caused by anything and is not a cause for any effect, nor it has any feeling awareness that it is helping somebody. It is pure presence. Like Surya Bhagavan never has a feeling that I am helping. It is in his presence that is happening, that's it. Because all the bondage feelings, the feelings of need of doing sadhana and doing various sadhanas, they all were in the field of ignorance for the jiva. And if you continue doing them, then you continue to be jiva only. In the final stage of experience, all of these are rejected or found to be non-existing. That moment only the jiva bhava dissolves. Atma anubhuti is gained. And such person alone is said to be liberated. That's why the last sentence is Saha Amrutatvaya means Amruta Bhavaya Kalpate. Means Mokshaya Samartha Bhavati iti Arthaha. Means such one who has that way touched the core of the self, that he is the one fully finally said to be liberated. Liberated from what? From his own ignorance about his presence. Liberated from the jiva who is born out of this ignorance and liberated naturally from the jiva struggles to become happy through the upadhi. From that, there is a final permanent liberation. अविद्या से मुक्ति, जीव भाव से मुक्ति, जीव का जो निरंतर प्रयास प्रयत्न है सुखी होने का उपाधियों के द्वारा, उन सब से भी शाश्वत रूप से मुक्ति। सह अमृतत्वाय कल्पते, दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ बिकमिंग इमोर्टल। अगेन आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग, आदि बुद्धाः प्रकृत्यैव सर्वे धर्माः सुनिश्चिताः यस्य एवं भवति क्षान्तिः। क्षान्ति मीन्स with this clear experience he is become absolutely calm and quiet now. This is not the kshanti of kshama guna of the values. Here the kshanti of all efforts at the ultimate level. And you can put it in your English language as feelingless. I am this. I am this because I am this. This is I am because not because of something. And this I am this is not to do something else, not to gain something else. Because this is complete in itself. This experience is complete in itself. And nor this me, who is this Bodha Swarupa, has any contribution in the world's management or maintenance. Then how everything is happening, I don't know. But we see everything is happening because of you. I don't agree it. Okay, let us come to a compromise. In my presence, you are able to do. But I am not the doer. In Surya's presence, everything is happening. In the Atma's presence, everything is happening. Surya is not the Karta Bhokta. I am also not Karta Bhokta, the real self. And the Surya's nature is Nitya Prakasha Swarupa. Mai is Nitya Bodha Swarupa. Surya Nitya Bodhata is neither because of something, nor to prove something, nor to prove himself, nor to get anything for himself, nor to help others. So too, I being the pure conscious self is not caused by anything, not causing anything else, nor for my own any of the other benefits, nor to serve or help or do something for others. स्वार्थ नहीं है, परमार्थ परार्थ नहीं है. Remember this verse. स्वार्थ परार्थ रहित बोध कर्तव्यता निरपेक्षता. स्वार्थ नहीं, परार्थ नहीं. Not for himself, not for anybody. That self is self. He is self, that's it. And there is no बोध कर्तव्यता. बोध कर्तव्य की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि इट इज बोध स्वरूप, नित्य बोध स्वरूप. वो भी कभी कभी नहीं, हमेशा. Like the Surya Bhagavan. And in that there is a Nishchita. Sunishta word is used, no? निश्चित रूप से बोध स्वरूप है, not because of somebody, not even intellectual understanding. Okay, this is what the meaning of Adi Buddha. But the word used toward the end is Saha Amrutatvaya Kalpate. He becomes liberated or qualified for liberation. Then again the Purvapakshi catches. That means yourself was bound. Then only you can use the word that is qualified for liberation. You know? The Guru said to a disciple, having explained about the nature of the self, that you or any such sadhaka or jiva samsari will be liberated when he reaches to that point. So from the feeling of the sadhaka standpoint, who is finding himself as jiva, jiva is bound. Therefore, that bondage he gets rid of, therefore he becomes mukta. This is what the Purvapakshi, the Siddhanti told. But Purvapakshi catches the tongue of Siddhartha. He says, तुमने कहा कि he will become qualified for moksha. That means he is not mukta. So there is a period where he is bound. Something has to be done for get liberated. So that's the confusion always in the audience or in the people who are holding on to something. He is holding on to the Dvaita Bhava. Somehow or the other, he'll have to bring it. Or some bondage he'll have to bring. Remember, self is never bound. The jiva is bound. Jiva, when he discovers is not jiva but the self, then his bondage is gone. The self in me is never bound. Nitya Buddha Mukta Swarupa. Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta Swarupa. Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta Swarupa. Is me the self. And this ego entity who just as protruded from the self for no reason, he is bound and is continuing to be bound by holding on to upadhi. Like the stupid children. Go with friends and get bound and keep on suffering but don't live. They have to drop them and come back to the parents because of parents only they are alive, sustaining. The well-wishers are only our parents. So with the parents is a mukta, with the friends is baddha, but he doesn't want to leave the friends. Then he will keep on suffering. Friends or any such thing. So what he has to do, he free himself from that and merge. So the jiva has to free himself from his jiva bhava and the causes which are making him jiva. Upadhis are making his jiva. So drop the upadhi, then drop jiva bhava. Then you are atma. Atma is not a bhava, it's an anubhava. Jiva is only a bhava, it's not a reality. But bhava का अनुभव होता है because sarpa bhava gives the sarpa anubhava of bhaya etc. Because when you do the bhavana, you will have to get the experience. When you do the bhavana, that is my friend, you will experience that cordialness when you see. When you have the bhavana as Shatru, you feel the experience of misery when you see. Because those bhavanas have consequence results of such experiences. All of that has a lot of jiva, not Paramatma. So yasya evam bhavati kshanti saha amrutatvaya kalpate. So that means he is bound. So again the Guru will have to tell. And this is how the questioner should question. Because the final conviction has not yet come, still some doubts are there. They have to eliminate by Guru. Therefore he will ask question. इसका मतलब क्या वो बाउंड था क्या? No, 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 no. He is eternally liberated only. That's what we said now. Self is never bound to get liberated. The jiva, that's the main example. Surya is never covered by the clouds. I am covered by the clouds from the vision of Surya because I am this side of the clouds. For me, when the clouds are removed, I will see the Surya. So do I, the jiva, have the cloud of ignorance because of which I am not able to see myself. That's a funny paradox. That I am not able to recognize my essential self because of clouds of avidya. Avidya janita dehadi upadhi and tadatmya and samsara, all that. When that curtain is removed, it's not like in the example of sun. When the clouds are removed, I am seeing the sun. Here the sun is different from me, cloud was covering, then removed and I could see. Example is only for that level. But the anubhav is not that you see the self like you see the sun outside. You become one with the sun. Means you discover your essential self when the avidya is removed. So the bondage is for whom? For jiva. What is the bondage for jiva? That considering that he is a jiva and continuously continuing to be a jiva by doing those things which make him continue as jiva. And he drops all those doings and drops jiva bhava, then what was eternally there, he will recognize that as himself. So, therefore, as we gave in introduction today, we have to search out and remove all our negativities and free from the misery. In the same way, we have to discover that I am the self, but playing the role of jiva, bondage is to jiva. And jiva is bound because these type of traits or misunderstandings or deeds. Therefore, I must get rid of all those deeds and get rid of my jiva bhava to have my atma anubhava. These type of contemplation or thinking and understanding is the right understanding. And in there is no ambiguity. It's very spashta rupa. That through the mouth, through the mind, through senses, throughout the day what I am conducting or doing, all of that is strengthening me to be jiva only. by making my alienation or attachment stronger with the upadhis. फिर से बोल रहा हूँ, देहेंद्र मनोबुद्धि रूप उपाधि से तादात्म्य होकर उनके द्वारा एक जीव के रूप में जीने वाले कर्म ही हम निरंतर कर रहे हैं, then continuing as a jiva only. So all that therefore we have to drop. That is why the bhakti sadhana is brought here. What to do? What is there said in that? Use your upadhis not for indulging in the world, but to serve Bhagavan. Then these upadhis get purified. What is the purification of upadhi? That they are no more serving the world. This is achieved by using the upadhis to serve the Lord. When the upadhis are served, then it is easy to transcend them or give them up. Then the upadhis are given up, jiva bhava is no more because jiva is alive when upadhis are there. Then the bhava of jiva in me even goes away because the upadhis are dropped. I, the self, who is eternally there as Adi Buddha, that anubhava comes to me. Like a thought in the mind came, disturbing thought. Identified with the mind, then that disturbing thought makes me experience the disturbance of dukkha. Who is this dukhi? The jiva. Jiva identified with the mana is suffering the disturbance thought of the mind. It is because some attachment, some disappointment, some failure. ये होता ही रहता है. It goes on till you discover the self. Nobody can avoid it. But when I learn the knowledge and know that the emotion belongs to the mind, I am only a sakshi of it. With this idea, when the emotion is dropped, that particular part aspect of the mind also is dropped. Then the jiva was identifying with that it was suffering is also dropped. You can see the peace at that time. This is in one example, a sample experimentation. In the same way, I am experiencing the jiva bhava because of the upadhis and becoming a karta and getting karma phala. This is my samsara. I have to drop my jiva bhava by dropping kartrutva and by dropping the bhoktrutva and also by transcending my identity with the upadhi. इसको लिख लेना है. These are the things we have to achieve. Through karma yoga, bhakti yoga, ashtanga yoga, all the ikshana yoga, the sakshi bhava, through all that what is achieved is this one. Jiva bhava is bandhanam, atma anubhava is mukti. The mukta atmatva is already eternal, which is called as Adi Buddha Prakritiva. And be attentive that mukta atma is not somebody else where I go and merge in him. That is me only. And who is Jiva? That is me only. How come I am two? That is called Maya. Is it not? I being the self, like I being the man, you being the man, again you suffer the fatherhood in you because of the son. Is it not? You are a man and you are suffering as a father because the fellow did not study or wasted money. How come? That's the power of Maya. And when the upadhi of son is dropped, you are no more a father. Then the doings of son won't trouble you because you are not a father there. As a man, you never suffer. As a father, you will never be happy. That's how the complete thought in Vedanta. I am the pure self. In the ignorance of myself to the pure self, I came out as a jiva. To fulfill myself as jiva, I got identified with the upadhis. The upadhis being functional in the outer world. Then the outer world necessarily came to me and necessarily I started involving in the world. This drama has become so regularly repeated in many lives that it has brought me to this level. Which level? That the outer world is there, it is real. In the outer world, I have to get sukha. And that sukha I get by doing something and getting something. And that doing I do with my upadhis. Therefore, upadhis are there, they are my upadhis, then I have to use them. By using them, I do something. By doing something, I get something. Having got something, I am happy. This entire samsara belongs to that jiva. While all this drama is happening, the pristine self inside and in and through all of that is in its own glory. And all these happenings are abhasa, like the series bulbs. The series bulbs moving or dancing or appearing as letters or any form, they are not real but appearing and useful also. क्योंकि लोग पढ़ते हैं उसको जो लिखा है रेलवे स्टेशन में ऑल दी कौन सी गाड़ी आ रही है कौन सी जा रही है कौन सी खड़ी है कौन सी प्लेटफॉर्म दैट इज ऑल शोन ऑन द बोर्ड बट ऑल द लेटर्स आर नॉट रियल दैट्स ओनली द बल्ब्स glowing and going but not real but making use appearing useful in that vyavahara level. If you understand that, in the same way, neither the self created all this samsara, nor the samsara required for the self, nor the samsara can disappear, make the self disappear or cloud the self. कोई कुछ बिगाड़ ही नहीं सकते उस आत्मा को. But the appearances. So we are only caught up in the appearances and making the appearing, taking the appearances as realities, or trying to make the appearances as realities. This is not only binding us in the non-existing samsara, but also not allowing us to experience our infinite selfness, selfhood. Therefore, at this junction, what is the sadhana therefore? Knowing that all these hallucination or imagination are unreal, slowly devaluing the value given to that. To the extent we are able to do, to that extent, not only we are freeing ourselves from the sufferings as a jiva, we are also facilitating ourselves to be able to reach to our identity, the self's identity. If you go on taking the world as real, you will really suffer in the world as a jiva, doing something, getting something. Then, for eternal life or many, many millions of lives, or till this is understood, how many millions lives it takes, we don't know. Till this is understood that it is mithya jagat, I am unnecessarily giving value and it is appearing real to me, and therefore I am doing really, I am suffering really. Till this understanding happens, we will be away from the self, we are in bondage. It's like this. When I give reality to you, the audience, then when I give reality to the thought that you should know the Shastra, when I give reality to the thought that I must give Shastra Jnana to you, and when I give reality to this thought, I have the Shastra Jnana, I, as a Shastri, do the action of giving the Jnana to you in the class. All of them are imagination from the self standpoint. Whatever the reasonings we give, you give reasoning and you justify, but jitna bhi aap reason do justify karo, it gives satisfaction, it doesn't give the reality. So I as a jiva only conducting myself as a speaker, whereas in the atma vastu there is no speaker, there is no spoken, there is no speech, existing as well as required, ना है उसमें ना जरूरत है उसका. But I'll not realize that self till I am interested in giving value to all this. One example. Like that, what we are doing throughout life means with the upadhis of Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharira, something or the other we are going on conceiving to do and getting something and feeling the experience as if real. In that only we are flowing. That's called samsara. That's Bharava Vidya. What is avidya? Not knowing that I am the self in which none of them are there, nor they are required. ना है ना जरूरत है, ये हम विद्या कहते हैं उसको। वो विद्या में नहीं, हम अविद्या में। जगत है, जरूरत है, उपाधियां हैं, जरूरत है, कर्म है, करना जरूरत है, वस्तुएं हैं, जरूरत है, और उसमें इन्वॉल्व करना, ये सब इमेजिनेशन। व्हाट इज द ड्रीम? World is there, I am there, people are there, places are there, objects are there. I must go to those places. I must contact those objects. Then I am miserable. Through the contact, I can become happy. And I really become happy also. Now, when you wake up, are these not all our imagination? The first thing that I am a dreamer itself is the first imagination. Then I am miserable. Second imagination. Then I have to become happy. Third imagination. That happiness I will get when I go to that place or get that object. This is an imagination. Therefore, how to go, how to get, the whole planning. यही तो किया हमने सपने में. And we went, we had, the experience also came, but that also imagination. When you wake up, the सुख दुख जो हुआ वो भी वहाँ अनुभव एक टाइम सत्य लगे, but when you wake up and see from the waking standpoint, that also. Therefore, all the sukha dukkha's of the waker or jiva are also null and void in the Atmavastu. And all are imagined, and the one who imagines is jiva. And as long as imagination continues, jiva bhava continues. Remember? There people change the painting of their house. ये color अच्छा है, then they are happy. They remove and put another one, again they are happy, and then they are miserable with that. Again they go on change. सब दिमाग में है वो, उधर कुछ नहीं है. It's all imagination. I can't be without you. It's an imagination. Then I'm happy with you is also imagination. And I'm miserable with you, therefore I have to get rid of you. ये सारे imagination. In the self, या कुछ है ही नहीं ये सब. And as long as I am in these three concepts, I can't be without you, I'm happy with you, and I am miserable with you. You are in the jiva bhava only, suffering. Those things they are the shackles, they have to be broken. They are in the form of the strong convictions in the hridaya. तो ये कॉन्टेम्पलेशन हमें अपने आप को उस हृदय में ले जाकर, और हृदय में हमें वो कॉन्टेम्पलेशन करके वहां से फ्रॉम देयर दीज रॉन्ग नोशंस वी हैव टू uproot, throw them away. This is what is done in the heated contemplation for years together. Then in that heat, when all these notions, ignorances get melted, then the experience of the self, Adi Buddha, it happens to us. I am that self. अलग मजा होता है उसमें. And once it is tasted, there is no coming back. Little some vasanas, if are there, we may need to repeatedly reach to that. But after that, once उसमें establish होते हैं, न यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. So आदि बुद्धा प्रकृतेव सर्वे धर्मा सुनिश्चिता यस्य एवं भौतिक शांति सह अमृतत्वाय कल्पते. Now he is holding on to how can there be amrutatva if he is not amruta earlier, means it's already bound, no? From Jiva standpoint, he took it and asked it, Purvapakshi. Siddhanta gives answer, Bhava Adi Buddhaine Adi Shantaha Anutpannaha. So that is the shloka. We'll chant that. Avatarika Tatha Na api Shanti Kartavyata Atmani iti aha. Means there is no need to bring the Shanti into the Atma to get it freed from the bondage of Ashanti. The bondage is the Baddhata. Liberation is moksha. So word used was moksha. So Ashanti Bandhan se Shanti lakar moksha paya. That is again at the level of mind for the jiva. There was no Ashanti of Bandhana to Atma. That it needed to bring the Shanti to get the moksha. Shanti and moksha are same. Ashanti and Bandhana are same. So he was Ashanta earlier, therefore he was in Bandhana. Now got the Shanti through the knowledge, therefore he became moksha. Means there was a time where there was Ashanti and Bandhana to the self. That's what Purvapakshi says. सेल्फ कौन है रे बाबा? वो सेल्फ के ऊपर इमेजिन जीव के लिए है, not to the self. And recognizing that I'm not Jiva who was that way, suffering because of Shanti, but I am the Atma which has no Ashanti. Every time it is Shantam. Shantam Shivam Advaitam Manyante. That Shanti word which was used by the हाँ, the उपनिषदकार ऋषि, द मंडूक ऋषि, उसका ये अंत में एक्सप्लेन करे, बिकॉज लास्ट वन सेंटेंसेस आर द ओनली ना, शांतम शिवम अद्वैतम चतुर्थम मन्यन्ते, और द कंक्लूजन स आत्मा सविज्ञेय, दैट इज द सेल्फ, दैट्स व्हाट यू हैव टू रियलाइज. So the guru is trying to make us realize by these explanations. Okay. Hmm. आदिशान्ता ह्यनुत्पन्नाः प्रकृत्यैव सुनिर्वृताः सर्वे धर्माः समाभिन्नाः अजं साम्यं विशारदम्. आदिशान्ता ह्यनुत्पन्नाः प्रकृत्यैव सुनिर्वृताः सर्वे धर्माः समाभिन्नाः अजं साम्यं विशारदम्. Now these are all actually the words. The meaning of the words is a peculiar state of experience. The experience is one homogeneous. But when it had to be explained to the disciple from his standpoint, so many words are used as if so many meanings are there. You know, like, when I see a beautiful scene, the experience is so unique. Then I wanted to explain to the people, let's say it's so beautiful, so wonderful, it's extravagant, no thing is like that. The experience क्या है, बोल क्या रहे हो? In the experience, they are all not there. But किसी को बोलने के लिए, this is the way the language is used. Here also is using many words to answer the disciple, but then the experience is one. We'll see the literal meaning today, Bhashyam tomorrow. So Adishantaha, the selves in all of us. Again, don't get confused when the plural is used. There are so many Atma. Nah. When you reach Atma, it is one, but it is addressed to so many disciples who have to discover their own Atma. If only one Atma is used by the Guru, then every disciple thinks that Guru is telling about himself or about others, not me. Therefore, I can continue to be a miserable Jiva by identifying with Upadhi and suffer. इसलिए कहा सबके लिए होलसेल न, तू मैं हर जगह जितने प्लोरलिटी जीव दिख रहे हैं सब जीवों में आत्मा की बात. दैट्स ए प्लूरल. इट कैन बी इन ऑल द डॉग्स, कैट्स, एवरी वन ऑफ देम, दे आर ऑल गोइंग थ्रू जीव भाव. Behind the jiva of every one of them, the Atma. About that Atma is saying. So many are there, bhavas of jiva, therefore. Like so many pratibimbas we talk. Because so many are seen in the bodies. Bimba is one. Surya. So Adishantaha means eternally they are in the liberated state of bliss and ananda or the selves. Adishanta. वो पहले से शांत थे, उसमें कोई अशांति बंधन नहीं था. एंड अशांति बंधन के कारण वाला विद्या नहीं है, उपाधियां नहीं है, आइडेंटिफिकेशन उपाधि ऑल्सो नॉट देयर, देन द उपाधिज लिमिटेशंस फॉलिंग ऑन दैट ऑल्सो इज नॉट देयर. आदिशांता, द सेल्स. विल सी द भाषण टुमारो. देन अनुत्पन्नाहा, this Adishanti or Adishanti with the Atma. They are not two. And this either Adishantitva or Atmatva are not Utpanna. It's not created by you are doing something. It's not resulted. Neither Ishvara gave you the Atma, nor the Guru gave you the Atma, nor the Ados Pados gave you Atma, nor the parents gave, nor friends gave, nor you bought it in the market giving money. Anutpanna. वो हमेशा है वो. So our self is anutpanna adishanti. That means it was never there that it had to be created. It is ever there. Therefore your question that मोक्ष हुआ का मतलब पहले बंधन में था, therefore अब मोक्ष हुआ, that is refuted. This is a portion many of the seekers, speakers, students miss. Whereas this is the most crucial portion for contemplation. In this contemplation only, in this kind of contemplation only, We are not only conformably, convincingly understanding the nature of self, but simultaneously our identity with that self becomes more closer and deeper. Otherwise, how the Maya works, with all sadhanas done, we remain as Jiva because the sadhana is required for the Jiva. Sadhana is required for Jiva, but doing sadhana strengthens the Jiva Bhava. Whereas we have to recognize Atma. That will happen only by Atma Swarupa when you understand. Atma Swarupa is Sachidananda. But the Sachidananda Atma may, whatever the Lakshanas of Jiva are there, they are not there. Therefore, insist that they are not there, then the Jiva goes away. Staying as Jiva, trying to become an Atma is in the beginning stage. But the later on stage, you have to be the Atma so that the Jiva Bhava goes away. That is the way it works. There is no other way. So मैं जीव हूँ, there is an Adi Shanta or there is Adi Buddha or Adi Shanta Atma is there, I have to recognize. This is in the beginning. Later on, that Adi Buddha, Adi Shanta Atma is me. In me, there is neither Jiva, nor Upadi, nor Kartavyata, nor Phalabho. That has to be rejected later on. Otherwise, we will do all sadhana but remain as Jiva only. क्यों पकड़ के रखा है उसको. That's to be dropped. That is why at one level I am bound, I have to be liberated through sadhana. At the higher level, I am already liberated. There is no bondage to me. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham is important. Manobuddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham, they all belong to Jiva. Only when you reject the upadhis and establish the Chidananda Rupa, then you get the Nirvana. That's why it's called Nirvana Shatka. That's why the highest level of mysticism of spirituality, there's no doing, there's no going, there's no coming, there's no going. It's just being. And that's it. That ing also is dropped from being. It's be. And then you ask a question, be what? No, there's no answer. Any answer is given, it's again definition. Just to be. Just to be yourself, be consciousness, be sattu, be chittu. So again words are usme. When you are seeking the explanation, then you are understanding intellectually. This is the problem, no? Trying to understand the self is hiding the self from us. Because self is not an object to understand with intellect. इसीलिए शास्त्र पढ़ के जितना दिमाग बढ़ता है ना उतना आत्मा दूर हो जाता है. हमको ऐसे ही नहीं होता बिकॉज वी नो द आर्ट ऑफ फॉरगेटिंग एवरीथिंग एवरी डे सो वी नीड नॉट वरी. It is about those people who remember all Shastra, all mantras, all quotations, all bhashya. They're all in that chakra. Thank God, as we saw yesterday, we get the apohanam also from Bhagavan. Mata smriti jnanam apohanancha. Like Uddhavji telling Krishna, "Oh Lord, you are the giver of knowledge, you are the giver of the ignorance also, forgetfulness." Thank God we forget everything. And your forgetting Shastras is so good to me that I can say every day the same thing. And for you it looks fresh because सब भूल गए. अच्छी बात है. So conceptualization of the self is required in the beginning to detach from the ego concept. But later on to experience the self as it is, conceptness of the self is to be dropped. Therefore, there just be, not even becoming, not even knowing, not even trying, not even understanding. मैं आत्मा हूं इसमें समझने की क्या बात है यार. तुम हो बस. नहीं समझे तो नहीं है क्या. बुद्धि के लेवल में नहीं समझे तो बुद्ध होता है, समझे तो समझदार. सेल्फ का ऐसा नहीं होता. सेल्फ इज सेल्फ वेदर इंटेलेक्ट सर्टिफाइज इट और नॉट, द इमोशन लव्स इट और नॉट, इट इज ऑलवेज. दिस इज कॉल्ड आदि शांता. ठीक है. सॉरी आदि शांता. Then anutpannaha, they are not required to be created always. And that shanti also of it is not created. Shanti means mukta sthiti. Prakrutya eva, again same word used like that, by nature. So nirvrutaha is always in the state of bliss. Sarve dharma, all selves are samaha and abhinna. They're same and not two. Ajam, and they are never born. Samyam, they are equal. Vishardam, there is no impurity of duality in that. So each of the word contains some load. When you contemplate, it is so heavy in the beginning, appears so abstract, non-understandable, because of the never exposed to this type of knowledge at our intellectual level. Intellect is always working with what mind was presenting through the senses about the Rupanama. Intellect never got training to contemplate on these type of abstract seeming things. But it's only for few days. When you continuously do, then not only we understand these explanations are the contemplation, but we also understand that this is the actual reality. This should have been done by my intellect long back to get myself and liberated. Instead, I was misusing the intellect in the world and getting bound there only. वो अकल तब समझ में आएगा. ठीक है? Then we will see the bhashyam, this one, and continue. Om शांतमंत्र आदिशान्ताय अनुत्पन्ना प्रकृतेव सुनिर्वृताः सर्वे धर्मा समाभिन्नाः अजं साम्यं विशारदं वैशारद्यं त्वयि नास्ति भेदे विचरतां सदा वेदनिम्ना पृथग्वादाः तस्मात् ते कृपणा स्मृताः अजय साम्ये तु एकेचित् भविष्यन्ति सुनिश्चिताः ते हि लोके महाज्ञानाः तच्च लोको न गाहते अजेष्वजम् असङ्क्रान्तं धर्मेषु ज्ञानमिष्यते यतो न क्रमते ज्ञानम् असङ्गं तेन कीर्तितम् अणुमात्रेऽपि वैधर्म्ये जायमाने अविपश्चितः असङ्गता सदा नास्ति किमुत आवरणच्युतिः अलब्धावरणाः सर्वे धर्मा प्रकृतिनिर्मलाः आदौ बुद्धा सदा मुक्ताः बुध्यन्ते इति नायकाः क्रमतेन हि बुद्धस्य ज्ञानं धर्मेषु तायिनः सर्वे धर्मा सदा ज्ञानं नैतद्बुद्धेन भाषितं दुर्दशमद्गम्भीरमजं साम्यं विशारदं बुद्ध्वा पदम् अनानात्वं नमस्कुर्मो यथाबलम् ओम अजमपि जनियोगं प्रापदैश्वर्ययोगात् अगतिजगतिमत्तां प्रापदेकं ह्यनेकं विविधविषयधर्मग्राहि मुग्धेक्षणानां प्रणतभयनिहन्तृ ब्रह्म यत्तन्नतोऽस्मि ओम 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 In the beginning, I am Jiva, identified the Upadhi, suffering in the world. I have to do sadhana to know myself. And the Lakshanas of myself are Satchidananda. But later on, I am Satchidananda Atma. There is no Jiva Bhava in me, there are no Upadhis in me. There is no Upadhi Yukta Karma, then Upadhi Kruta Phalanubhuti in me. That self I am, that self I am. That deep acceptance of the self only makes us experience the self. Okay, neti neti has to be done very strongly for sufficient period of time. But it will not be completed or complemented if not be complete unless soham is done. So here, having taught us neti neti by rejecting Dvaita in all three and of prakarana, in the last portion, Karika Kara is making us do the soham. I am Adi Buddha, I am Adi Shanta, I am Anutpanna. Isn't it? I am Aja, I am Samya, I am Visharad. इन दिस जीव उपाधि एंड जीव को उपाधि के साथ जो संसार था वो और साधना वो दोनों नहीं है इसमें. Here only the establishment about the nature of the self is done. I am Adi Buddha, भाई. I am Adi Shant हूँ मैं. I am the Raja, Samya, Visharada Atma हूँ. This we have to become stronger. And in the beginning, they are also the thoughts with understanding. Later on, they are experiences not needing the thoughts or understanding. पहले आदि बुद्धता एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, फिर अभ्यास है, फिर अनुभव है. अनुभव के बाद आदि बुद्धता इज पक्का अनुभव. इट इज नॉट ए थॉट और अंडरस्टैंडिंग. दैट इज वाई बोध कर्तव्यता निरपेक्ष स्वार्थ और परार्थ. दैट्स व्हाट एक्सप्लेन दैट. यू हैव टू कॉन्टेम्पलेट. थैंक यू. ओम पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. परमऋषिभ्यो नमः. परब्रह्मणे नमः. श्रुतिमात्रे नमः. ओम तत्सत्. ब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु. डुक महर्षि गौड़पादाचार्य वर्याय आद्य शंकर सद्गुरु. Now for some time we will do our Viduranit. Because we are committed, we are studying. स्टडी करो कुछ दिन, जब तक अंदर समझने का